service member. I hope this card finds you in good health, preparing to enjoy the holidays. At this time of year, I always reflect on what I can be thankful for. I was raised in a loving home by wonderful parents. My folks, Rosie and Luke, sent their Christmas greetings to you along with mine. Nevada City has been home to the Spellman family for 3 generations. I could have left, but everything that was important to me was here. Our lives are not about things. Family and friends, people, are at the heart of it. You won't find a chain store or mall around here, and that suits us just fine. Our local church organizes Operation Christmas Card every year for our troops overseas. The church is at the center for many of our activities and social events, and the doors are open 24 hours a day to anyone. Believe me, you have many friends here. You just haven't met them yet. I'm sure being far from your loved ones weighs heavy on your heart. I know a little about that. When I met my boyfriend, he was everything I was looking for. Since then, his business has kept us living far from one another. I'll bet you'll be back with your family long before he and I live in the same zip code.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Christmas edition of Movie Monday. And this is just the first of more I'm going to do. But the first one I chose was The Christmas Card. And this is a movie I fell in love with the first time I saw it. It's a 2006 movie, and it actually premiered on Hallmark on December 2nd of 2006. And I honestly believe that is when I saw it. I really do. I can't be sure of that. That's been a while back. But I know I saw it when it was still fairly new. If I didn't see it in 2006, it was the year or so after that. And I just, I fell in love with it. And, okay. I hope I pronounce this wrong. I don't like mispronouncing names. I've had it done to me. And, but I hope I pronounce this. I'm going to spell it. It is written by, I think this is Joni. It's spelled Joany, Kane. And if I did mispronounce it, I'm so sorry. But I believe that's how it's pronounced. It is directed by Stephen Bridgewater. It stars John Newton, Alice Evans, and the late Edward Asner. And okay, here is the plot of this movie, if you haven't seen it. Okay, Cody Cullen. It's the midst of the Afghanistan war, and I was gonna say a soldier, but actually, Cody Cullen is a sergeant, and he receives a card. There's a church in Nevada City that does this. They send cards to the soldiers, and he receives one that is sent by Faith Spillman. And she also encloses a picture of her church and lets him know that, when he's free, that he is very welcome to visit the church. And a little time goes by, and there's another soldier, and he's handling things as best he can. He's actually happy despite the war because he has a fiance that he is so in love with. They've set a date, and he and Cody are really good friends, but the worst happens. That soldier is killed. And this really affects Cody. They were good friends, and it really does affect him. But he still wants to stay. But he is advised to, like, I guess you would call it, take a leave. And he's also asked to go see the fiance of his friend, the soldier that was killed. And I believe he was asked to give something to her as well, but he needs to see her. So he goes to see her, and she was familiar with him from the letters she'd received from her fiance. And he tells, he really loved you. He tells her how much. And I believe he gave her something. Like I said, I believe there was something he had to give her. But anyway, he ends up in Nevada City where the card he received came from. And he goes to this like cafe, diner, whatever you want to call it. And boy, talk about coincidence. He happens to order the exact same meal that the girl who sent him the card, Faith Spillman, orders. They order the exact same thing. And they're used to her. They know her in the town. Her dad, like, has, I guess you would call it a logging company. And her dad is played by Ed Asner, the late Edward Asner. And he is so good in this. Everyone is. Everyone is great. But you just have to watch. His character is so lovable in this. But anyway, everybody knows her. And I guess she thinks they know what her regular is, and she goes on and starts eating what he's ordered. But it's all good. Nobody gets angry, and that is actually how they meet in person. They sort of met, I guess you could say, through the card, but that's how they meet in person. Then they meet again. First, actually, though, he meets her dad, played by Edward Asner, when he goes to the church that he was invited to, because she had told him he was welcome there any time, and I think he probably felt like he needed it. And he meets her dad first, and then of course he goes to introduce him to his daughter, and they acknowledge that they've already met and what happened. And it's kind of a cute situation there. But here's the thing. Um, Faith has a boyfriend. And how can I say it? He's not the most likable person. I feel bad saying that, but he's kind of not. And he travels a lot on business. She doesn't get to see him a lot. And things are just not going well for them. I think she's starting to wonder how serious he is, and I think she's losing hope with him. And there's attraction between her and Cody. No doubt about that. And her dad really, really likes Cody. In fact, he hasn't been there very long. I won't say what it is, but he does something that is very heroic. And her dad just really likes him. And he ends up giving him a job at, I guess you would call it the logging mill, is what they have. And Faith works there too, as well as her uncle works there. And Cody starts work there, and Cody and Faith get closer. So, what about this boyfriend? I'll just leave it at that. And if you've seen the movie, you know. If you haven't, watch the movie. And there is some bonus content that I really appreciate that I can share. And I don't think you have to worry about anything being ruined for you. If you think so, if you're afraid that you haven't seen the movie and it'll spoil it for you, watch the movie and then come back and watch that part. Edward Asner talks about the movie, but I don't feel he gives anything away, really. I really don't. But if you're afraid that he might, you might want to skip that part. And there's other bonus content too. But anyway, I guess on with the bonus content, and use your own judgment on that. But I don't think it'll mess it up for you. And if you have seen it before, if you've seen the movie, I think you'll enjoy this. So here we go. Okay. You can watch this movie on YouTube TV Premium subscription, Sling TV Premium subscription, and I don't get this, Amazon Prime Video Premium subscription. And I have Amazon Prime, and I thought I had Premium, but it's asking me to subscribe to something. I don't have to do that because I actually do have the DVD. But I checked it out, everything, I'm paid up, I'm all good with Amazon Prime. I don't know if they're wanting you to subscribe to another channel. They do that sometimes. But also, it's on YouTube for $1.99. That's a really good price. And Google Play Movies and TV, $1.99, another good price. And it will be on TV now. It is technically Monday now. Of course, check your local listings. But it says tomorrow. I take that to mean Tuesday on Hallmark Channel. And also Friday, December the 31st, New Year's Eve at 6 p.m. on Hallmark Channel. But like I said, check your local listings. It's an excellent movie. I can't recommend it enough. And I have some more to say, but like I said, I have some bonus things to show. And I honestly do not think that this is going to affect you watching the movie, but if you feel like it will, just watch the movie and then come back and watch this. Okay, as I said, I really did enjoy Edward Asner's uh, performance in this. I really did. Everyone was great. Don't get me wrong. Everyone was great. But I think I said why. He's a great father. He's funny in this. And he may be playing matchmaker a little bit. And that's sort of cute. But Edward Asner had something to say. And that is part of the bonus that I'm going to show you. So here we go with that.
Well, I thought I was brilliant. I never cease to amaze myself. I am so cute and warm and winning.
You're stirring up trouble. I'm looking for a smack on the bottom.
Now, Rosie, don't you get me all excited. I was quite pleasantly surprised at the reception that the movie had. I generally am callous and brutal in viewing myself as, there he goes again. And so it was tremendously pleasing and delightful to see how people reacted to it. It gave it the highest rating Hallmark's ever had, I guess. And performed a good service at the same time. Well, I'm a lumber mill owner with a wonderful, loving wife. And, we have a beautiful daughter who's engaged to a jerk we don't like. I'm not jealous. I'm just protective. Oh, come on. And to do her bit for the war, she sends a Christmas card with a picture of the town to our hero. He has no family. He has a motorcycle. And so he decides to just go look at this town, this beautiful little town that this lovely card came with. Falls under my spell.
What's your name? Cody Cullen, sir. Beacon of Month, Luke Spellman. It's a real honor to meet you, sir.
I'm almost killed when I see him across the street later, and he saves my life.
Dad, look out!
Sir, out of the way! And he's got to come to the house and have dinner with us, blah, blah, blah. One thing leads to another, and we get a happy ending out of it. Well, he's like a Clark Kent. He's a strong jaw type. He's a lovely guy, lovely and tough. I was impressed by him and his ability to wend his way through all of the physical activity that was demanded of him by the show. He's got the brass balls. Diabolical fiend, unmentionable person, whose ghastly, disgusting habits, smelled bad, and yet I have to admit a brilliant director. If you can stomach the smell. One special thing, the mill that was featured there, the family, beautiful family, I can't remember the name. Delighted to find that they are phenomenally ecological lumber mill operators. For every tree they cut, they make sure that they've got another planted in its place. They are protective of old growth and certainly don't want to denude mountains. It was nice to be with them. I was stationed in France, and I would get letters, and wonderful letters, and I always made myself or found myself too busy to answer them. The weekend before I was to go home, I sat in this outside cafe in Saumur, the town where I was stationed, and got all my letters, and I kept drinking this yellowish green intoxicating liqueur and getting very in my cups and wrote all these letters that I owed. So I always tremendously regretted that I didn't make copies, because they had to be the most insane letters anybody would ever have received. So I'm sure I brought joy or fear to a lot of the recipients. Well, you see, it's not blank, bold print. You're getting there. You're getting the curlicues and the slashes and the ups and downs of a human being, which is always individual. And it makes it far more human than to get a text message. It's so little to do. Get off your butts and do it. Get that card, find the means of remembering them at Christmas, because I'm sure you'll find American soldiers in Iraq at Christmas time this year. They'll probably still be in Afghanistan as well. Hopefully it won't be there next year. That's a good way to support your troops. So, support our troops.
Hi, I'm Kareen,
And I'm Jeff, and
and this is our real-life Christmas card story. I met my husband through email. We have some mutual friends, Michael and Janelle. Janelle moved out to California from Texas to be with her husband, who was in the National Guard. And he was deployed not long after that. So I was over at her house having some martinis. Her husband called, and I made a joke to him on the phone saying, "You need to send me a lonely soldier. She got one, why can't I have one?" Well, I didn't think anything of it, but they took me seriously.
while I was in Afghanistan, he said, "Hey, I have this friend of mine who reminds me of you, and I was wondering if I can give her your email and have her send you an email." And I said, "Sure, no problem."
And 3 weeks later, I sent him an email. I didn't really want to get into a relationship with someone who was in an active war zone. I mean, there's too much stress involved with that. But I had sent him that first email, and then my grandmother died. So I sent him another message saying that I was going to be away from the computer and, not to worry about me. His response was so heartfelt and real, and he'd never even met me in person, and I knew.
Naturally, you're skeptical a little bit, like, is this for real? What's going on? But what made Corinne special to me from so far away was her sense of humor. It came through in the letters and in the emails, and she was just funny. It made me want to check my email every day and see what she was writing to me, and made me want to keep writing.
I wrote a lot of letters to him, long letters, hand wrote, not in addition to email and all the other stuff. It was a way for me to stay close to him. I could write in the middle of the night when I knew I couldn't talk to him and know that he would read it. But he also started sending me letters and cards. Oh boy, we sent, I don't know how many cards we sent. I have this huge box. I refused to throw away a single one. I remember the first letter I got from him. I checked my mail, came home from work. I didn't even shut off my car. I ripped it open. I don't know, it was amazing. I'd never had anything like that before.
I had called her one night, and as we get ready to hang up, it just seemed the natural thing to say when someone hangs up. And I said, "I love you," as we were hanging up. And then there was nothing but dead silence on the other end. And I'm like, "Hello? Hello?" And I hung up the phone. I walked back to my lieutenant, and I said, "I think I blew it." I told her I loved her, and she didn't say anything, and she hung up. So I said, "I think it's over. I think I blew it."
But that's not what happened. He told me he loved me. I didn't know what to say, and I squeaked out, "Love you too." And he didn't hear it.
It's my bad ear.
Well, I could tell he didn't hear it, and he hangs up the phone. I immediately run to my computer and type him this big, long email about how I said I love you, and I didn't know it. I thought I would never hear from him again. There's a 12-hour difference between the U.S. and Afghanistan, so that was it. That phone call that night, that was it until the next day. It was a sleepless night.
It was a rough night, a rough day for me. I was like, I blew it. Gosh, I blew it. But then I checked my email. She had sent me a letter, email saying, I didn't mean to embarrass you or anything. I said I love you back, but you didn't hear it.
We've gotten really romantic in words and stuff, but we'd never said I love you. And then when I did, he didn't hear me. I love you.
I love you. I heard that. Well, you can't tell on camera, but she is taller than me. So one of the things we talked about was what are we going to do when we meet? Is it going to be awkward? So we thought if we meet in person and we fit together good, and I'm not too short for her, then it'd be a great thing.
And when I did see him in person, there's certain things about a face that you cannot see over a webcam. And I just fell in love with that face instantly.
She goes, "Gee, you smell good." And I said, "Well, you're not so tall." So we hit it off really good when we first met.
We stood out in front of his house with my head on his shoulders, just wrapped around, and I didn't know this until a week later. His mom and his sister were peeking out the window.
It cost me $300 to get rid of them later. But it was good meeting her.
I think letter writing is a good way to get to know someone. When you're writing a letter, it seems much more personal. You have that feeling that this person will read it.
It's something that the person touched. When you're out there in Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever, it's just a good feeling to know that somebody took the time to send you an actual letter. Because a lot of times the soldiers, especially the younger ones, don't have much family, they don't have a wife, or they don't have kids. And it can be a big strain on the younger soldiers especially. So it's good for them to get letters, from, or care packages from the people back home that know that you care about us while we're over here.
Regardless of their duty assignment or location, the highlight of every soldier's day is when the mail is delivered.
The Army entrusted me with the assignment of giving you this card.
For various reasons, some troops never receive letters from home. By adopting a soldier at anysoldier.com, you can make a connection with someone overseas and help put a smile on their face. Anysoldier.com has been supporting our nation's military men and women since 2003. The Any Soldier website will provide you with the information you need to start sending letters, cards, and even care packages to a soldier in the war. It's important to note that the United States does not draft its soldiers. Our troops have volunteered to be in harm's way. Reaching out to those with few connections back home is the least we can do to help. So go to anysoldier.com, adopt a soldier, and help our troops cope with the stress and hardships of war with a letter or a card from someone that cares.